In MMA, some fights are not just about winning or losing. Some fights change everything. They change a fighter's career. They change how fans see them. And sometimes, they even change how a fighter sees himself. What if one night could rewrite a whole legacy? What if one fight could take everything you built and turn it upside down? For Tony Ferguson, that moment came in May 2020 at UFC 249. It was a night full of pressure, chaos, and high stakes. Everything was on the line. His win streak, his future, his dream. But what really happened that night? And why did it change him forever? Stay with us to find out the full story. And if you enjoy deep fight stories like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. The rise of Tony Ferguson. Before we talk about the fight, we need to understand who Tony Ferguson really was. He was not a normal fighter. Everything about him felt different. His style was unusual. His movements were hard to read. And his mindset was intense, sometimes even confusing to others. But one thing was always clear. He was dangerous inside the cage. Ferguson built an incredible run in the UFC lightweight division. He won 12 fights in a row, beating top fighters like Rafael dos Anjos, Kevin Lee, and Donald Cerrone. He even became the interim lightweight champion. Many fans believed he was the real champion at that time. But there was always one fight missing from his story. The one that never happened. The fight that never came. For years, fans wanted to see Tony Ferguson face Khabib Nurmagomedov. It felt like the perfect fight. Khabib was calm, focused, and almost unbeatable with his wrestling. He controlled his opponents and rarely made mistakes. Ferguson was the complete opposite. He was wild, creative, and dangerous in every position. That is why people were so excited. It was a clash of two very different styles. The fight was booked many times, but each time, something went wrong. Injuries, health problems, and bad timing stopped it again and again. Slowly, it became one of the biggest what-if fights in MMA history. By 2020, fans started to feel that the moment might be slipping away. UFC 249. In 2020, the whole world was facing the COVID-19 pandemic. Events were being canceled everywhere, and most sports had stopped completely. But the UFC still decided to move forward with UFC 249. The main event was supposed to be Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, a fight fans had been waiting for years. However, once again, it fell apart. Khabib was unable to travel due to global restrictions during the pandemic. At that moment, Ferguson faced a tough choice. He could wait for the fight to be rebooked, or he could stay on the card and face a new opponent. True to his nature, Tony Ferguson decided not to wait. He chose to fight. Enter Justin Gaethje. The replacement opponent was Justin Gaethje. He was known for his power and aggressive style. He was not an easy fight for anyone. In fact, he was one of the most dangerous strikers in the lightweight division. This was not a safe or simple replacement. It felt like a war waiting to happen. Tony Ferguson accepted the fight on short notice without hesitation. Because of changes to the event, he even made weight twice, which is very rare and difficult for any fighter. It showed how serious he was about competing. He looked ready and confident going into the fight, or at least, he believed he was fully prepared for what was coming. The pressure on Ferguson. At that moment, Tony Ferguson had everything on the line. He was on a 12-fight winning streak and was next in line for a title shot. If he won, he would most likely fight Khabib Nurmagomedov for the belt. But if he lost, that chance could be gone. The risk was huge. Still, Ferguson was never the type to avoid danger. He always moved toward it. He trusted his skills and his mindset. Deep down, he truly believed he could beat anyone placed in front of him, no matter how tough the challenge was. The fight begins. When the fight began, fans expected chaos, and they got it. Justin Gaethje came out sharp, focused, and calm. He was not reckless like in some of his earlier fights. This time, he was patient and controlled, picking his moments carefully. On the other side, Tony Ferguson looked a little different than usual. He was still moving forward, still applying pressure, and still throwing strikes from strange angles. But something did not feel the same. His rhythm looked slightly off, and his timing was not as sharp. It was a small difference, but it was noticeable right from the start. Gaethje's precision. From the first round, Justin Gaethje started landing clean punches. His jab was sharp, and his timing was very accurate. Every time Tony Ferguson tried to move forward, Gaethje met him with strikes. Ferguson is known for taking damage and still pushing forward. That has always been his fighting style. But this time, the damage felt different. The punches were landing cleanly and with full power. The impact was heavy each time. It was not random shots either. Gaethje kept finding his target again and again, and the pressure slowly started building on Ferguson as the round went on. Ferguson keeps moving forward. Even while taking heavy damage, Tony Ferguson did not stop. He kept moving forward, step by step, trying to pressure Justin Gaethje. He continued to throw strikes and stay active in the fight. At times, he even smiled, almost trying to show that the shots were not affecting him. This was always part of Ferguson's identity as a fighter. He was known for his toughness and ability to take punishment while still pushing forward. But in a fight like this, there is always a limit. No fighter, no matter how tough, can keep taking clean shots forever without consequences. The turning point. As the fight went on, things started to shift. Tony Ferguson began to slow down. His movements were not as quick, and his reactions took longer. On the other side, Justin Gaethje stayed calm and in control. He was patient, not wasting energy or rushing in. Instead, he kept breaking Ferguson down little by little, round by round, with steady pressure and clean shots. The fifth round. By the time the fight reached the fifth round, it was clear. Tony Ferguson was in real trouble. His face was swollen and his body had taken a lot of damage. Still, he did not go down. He was still standing, still trying to fight back, and still refusing to quit. That is who Ferguson is. A fighter who keeps going even when things are very hard. The end of the fight. In the fifth round, Justin Gaethje landed more clean shots. Tony Ferguson started to stumble and looked confused. The referee stepped in and stopped the fight to protect him. Gaethje won by TKO. Just like that, Ferguson's 12-fight win streak came to an end. What made this fight different? Tony Ferguson had lost before, but this loss felt different. It was not close or quick. It was a long, tough fight where he took a lot of damage. It was the kind of fight that can change a fighter physically, mentally, and emotionally over time. The damage. After the fight, many people talked about the damage Tony Ferguson took. It was not only about losing, it was about the punishment he absorbed during the fight. In MMA, fights like this can take things away from a fighter over time. Sometimes speed is affected, sometimes durability drops, sometimes confidence is shaken, and sometimes all three change together. The mental impact. Tony Ferguson has always had a unique mindset. He believed he was different from others and that he could not be broken. But this fight truly tested that belief. For the first time in a long time, he looked human inside the cage. And in fighting, even a small doubt can slowly change everything for a fighter. The aftermath. After losing to Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson's career changed direction. He then faced Charles Oliveira and lost. After that came Beneil Dariush, another defeat. Then he fought Michael Chandler and suffered a knockout. The losses continued from there. A different fighter. Tony Ferguson after UFC 249 did not look the same. He was still tough, still brave, and still willing to fight anyone. But something was missing. The sharpness in his movement was not there like before. The unpredictability also faded. Even his ability to take damage and keep the same level slowly started to drop over time. The reality of MMA. MMA is one of the toughest sports in the world. Every fight matters, and every round can change a career. Sometimes, just one fight can shift everything for a fighter. That is exactly what happened to Tony Ferguson after UFC 249 and his fight with Justin Gaethje. Respect for his heart. Even after that fight, one thing about Tony Ferguson never changed: his heart. He never became a safe fighter or avoided tough opponents. He kept stepping into the cage and kept fighting, even when things were not going his way. That kind of spirit shows real courage in MMA. The what-if question. Fans still ask many questions about Tony Ferguson. What if he had finally fought Khabib Nurmagomedov? What if he had waited instead of taking the fight against Justin Gaethje? Would his story be different? Would his legacy be even greater today? These questions will likely stay unanswered forever. Lessons from the fight. This fight teaches many lessons about Tony Ferguson and MMA. It shows how dangerous the sport can be, how fast things can change in a fight, and that even the strongest fighters are not invincible inside the cage. The legacy of Tony Ferguson. Despite everything, Tony Ferguson still has a strong legacy. He is remembered as one of the most exciting fighters in UFC history. He never played it safe, always gave everything inside the cage, and was never afraid to face anyone, no matter how tough the challenge was. The fight against Justin Gaethje was not just a loss for Tony Ferguson, it was a turning point. It ended one version of him and started a harder chapter. But ask yourself, did he ever stop fighting? Did he ever give up? No matter what happened, he kept going. And that is what fans remember. Because his story is not just about wins or losses, it is about heart, courage, and never backing down. So what do you think? Is this the toughest chapter of his career? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more stories like this.